that spirit that I come to my final point tonight. What does one do? A lot of people in this country are pondering this right now. I know that there are a lot of Republicans and others trying to give the impression, no, everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon, but they're wrong. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I went around this country the longest time talking to all kinds of audiences, especially audiences in the black community, traditionally Democrat, trying to point out that, look, you can't sacrifice your allegiance to God and right and justice and all these things you profess to believe for some party label. And then God in his providence, as if to put me to the test, now confronts me with a situation. What am I to do? Am I, or is anyone like me, who has stood so long and fought so hard for these things that we believe to be right for our country, to be right in the eyes of our God, can we put it all aside for the sake of a party label in order to back someone that we believe will be ultimately destructive of our liberty, of our rights, and ultimately of the moral foundations of all our freedom? No, we cannot. Not if they're Republican, not if they're Democrat, no matter what label they wear, for our allegiance is first to God and our country above every party whatsoever. There are many people in this quandary, and they keep saying, well, what are we going to do? We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. Because a manipulated system has failed to offer people a choice that corresponds to their true desires for their country, their true principles. People are now saying, we must choose the lesser of evils. You do realize that if you choose the lesser of evils, in that way you make evil your standard. You also realize that if you get to a place where the only choices you have for people to represent you in our country are evil, then you must be in the wrong place. And you ought to wonder how you got there. I don't think we are in that. I've met too many good-hearted Americans, people of good conscience, people who share and deeply believe in. And indeed, as our young people are proving this instant in far-flung battlefields in Afghanistan and Iraq, people who still will risk and give their lives for the things that do not die, though they do, for the things that make death noble, because through them we join with the deathless glory of our God. And there are still many people like that. We know them as our spouses, as our children. We know them as our fellow citizens. We know them, I dearly hope, as we know ourselves. What shall we do now? Throw up our hands and let our country be taken to the devil, the lesser of evils? Or shall we do what people had to do in the past? When they stood up to make a revolution, when they stood up to make a country, not because it was the lesser evil, but because they sought a better destiny and a greater good. Can no one offer this true hope to America? Will no one back it up? I don't know the answer. I look at all these folks out there with their lies and their delusions. They're raising money hand over fist. It's almost as if all the good people have decided they're not going to bother anymore. They're not supporting, they're not giving, they're not sacrificing. Do you think that's how America was built? Because all the good people sat on their hands, didn't give their effort, didn't make the sacrifice, but instead took the easy way out and said, well, let's go with the lesser of evils because that's all we got? If you don't see a better choice, make a better choice. Build a better choice. Be part of the movement that will offer a true, better hope for this country. If there are people out there who have this on their hearts, who have it in their will, if they are willing to reach into their pocketbooks, reach into their time, reach into their lives to make it happen, then their will and their fervor and their hearts and their conscience will call forth a leader who will stand with them no matter what the sacrifice, no matter what it costs. Because this country now, as then, is worth the commitment that will pledge life and fortune and honor and all, so that the good that it represents may still survive for all humanity. If you wish to be part of that kind of effort, then I would say and hope that you would give a thought to what could be possible in November. If someone stood forward representing the things you truly care about, and instead of listening to the sham and phony arguments that seek to manipulate you into choosing those who do not represent you, you instead make every sacrifice to back that which you believe represents your wholehearted desire for America's freedom and America's good. If people can do that, then I think hope revives, liberty is restored, and we shall once again get past this dark place of a politics of pandering and come to a true, free politics that once again corresponds to its right meaning. For politics is not the work of those who seek office for the sake of their ambition. It is in the truest sense the business of the citizen. Don't let them turn it into a dirty word, for then we are put off of that without which we cannot sustain our liberty. Instead, by your faith, and by your actions, and by your will, and by your sacrifice, and ultimately by your prayers and your reliance upon the God who has so blessed our nation. Build a politics of true citizenship, in which this government of, by, and for the people will once again have in its midst the shining truth of that people's sovereignty. Their freedom, yes, but also their responsibility. Their satisfaction, yes, but also their willingness to satisfy the obligations of their justice and their rulership. If we can be such a people, then I think God will take away the clouds that now darken our vision. He will show us again the light of that destiny which shone so bright in Reagan's eyes that he could see us ever as a shining city on a hill. But from whence the light? I think the light that shines in that city is the light that shines from within the hearts that have admitted their allegiance to the will of God for justice, and by opening themselves to all that is needed to satisfy that allegiance, they share his light.